I'm Alicia, and I'm a victorious badass over emotional abuse. It's Domestic Violence Awareness Month, as well as Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and this is my duty. My strides, ladies and men, did their duty today for breast cancer awareness, and this is what I feel I have to do for domestic violence awareness. And I am terrified. So give me some love. Absolutely, please. So it fascinates me that I'm so terrified to share that I was in an emotional abusive relationship for a year and a half. Like, why am I terrified to share that? And I think maybe it's because you might see me differently. You might say, oh, you made some bad choices, or you might judge me. But that's all part of the shame that was instilled in me through manipulation and emotional abuse. And so I never want anyone ever to have to feel like I felt alone and crazy. And so I am going to take a stand and make a voice right now and declare that I will continue to have this voice and this piece of hair. So I've done quite a bit of research on emotional abuse specifically, because it's one of those things that's very difficult to like grab onto. And even the court system, especially the court system, is just crazy, ridiculously stupid. Sorry, about emotional abuse. And so I want to make an impact. So I'm writing about it and I'm speaking about it. I did my first presentation on this yesterday at Connect Santa Barbara, and I just want to thank you guys so much for being my family and allowing me to share. And I realized as I'm standing in front of 20 some people, just that I was really present to what I was doing and what I needed to do, and the connections that I made that day, and everyone was so supportive. I know that you will be too. So I just ask that if this is something that you feel you want to comment on, or you need to share in some way, of course you can use the hashtags that I'll provide, but keep it positive. Bashing other people, I don't want to see that. I just want to give a voice for people that, like me, felt crazy in the midst of something that I didn't really know what was happening. And so I resorted to looking at books and YouTube videos, and I couldn't find the thing that I really wanted to find, which was like an honest connection with a real, authentic person talking about this. I found definitions of emotional abuse. I found some pretty darn good YouTube videos on narcissism, and I understood, but I never really had a connect. And that's what I want to be. And so if I'm that for one person that watches this, yay, because I'm ready to speak. It's been over a year since I got out of this year and a half long abusive relationship that often escalated into other forms of abuse. But it was the little things for me that really kind of kept me down and almost, have me PTSD at times. And so I thought I'd share a couple of those examples, because at the time when I shared, the response I got was not something that I really wanted to get. And I never want another woman or man to ever feel like that. By the way, the stats on domestic violence, 1 in 4 people go through domestic violence. And by the way, that's like a continuous thing. That's not just one incident. That means that 2, it's reported. And I know there are many, many women and men that don't report. I'm going to probably focus on women more than men right now, but that's because that's my experience. So I gave you an example. And if you share this and you share examples, that's wonderful. If I give you a voice in any way with that, perfect example would be that whenever I spoke to him, if I had anything in my eyes, like any little sleep in there, he would say, I'm not going to talk to you until you get the sleep out of your eyes. And this has done something hugely devastating to me. And it's almost like becomes an OCD thing. I check the sleep in my eyes, literally. And you reflect on this, and I'm like, I'm such a strong woman. I'm an educated woman. How did it get to the point where something as small and persistent as that broke down my confidence to a place where I didn't recognize myself? It didn't recognize me. And that's what I want to speak about. I want to continue to speak about how to stop this cycle and to finally have a voice. And so I knew today I had to get online, and I'm still terrified, and it bothers me so much that I'm terrified, because that means that I still have that shame brain in my head. It means that I still have that component of me that's like embarrassed because I went through this. And that to me is just crazy ridiculous, but I can only imagine that others would feel this way as well. Some of the strongest women I know have been through all kinds of domestic violence, from physical to emotional to sexual, whatever it is. And I know too many people. So my duty today is to recognize domestic violence awareness. For me personally, it's mainly focused on emotional abuse. Keep giving the hearts. I'm not going to respond to anything right now because it's as much as I can do to keep me together right now. But I want to raise up women. I want to raise up people finding their voice about this, because I'm still in the court process. People, I'm still in the court process a year after. And this person has actually done time for criminal charges, and I have so much to say about how we can help ourselves through a process like this, but I had to come back to me. And so I thank those people who have been surrounding me. I know when I first mentioned, okay, this is what I never want to happen to anybody. And so if someone approaches you, or if you know someone who's going through something like this, please be a stand for them. When I first had the guts to tell somebody what was going on, and I couldn't get him away from my house, he would sleep in my car, he would sleep in my garage, he would sleep next to my house, beside my house, in my backyard. And I told someone, and I thought, this woman will understand. And she looks at me and with all her heart says, why don't you just toss this shit out onto the lawn? And I got in my car later, and I was so disappointed, and I was like, even us as women can't understand or be there as a stand, because that's not an answer, and it's not an answer legally. And I already knew all this because I had been through so much with police and so forth. But then I thought, oh, hallelujah, hallelujah. She's never had to go through what I went through. She doesn't understand, and that's okay. But I want everyone to be able to have a voice. And so I'll pass this on to people that maybe feel free to just keep it positive, please. No bashing. I want to raise up beautiful, broken badasses. And I actually, in the process of healing, I came across a really amazing art form. It's called kintsugi. Kintsugi. It's a Japanese art form. It's actually titled Golden Journey, which I thought was amazing, but I had to print it out as part of what I'm doing because it's so powerful. This is example of this art form. And if you can see, these are bowls that are broken, and they're filled where the broken parts are with gold. And it's almost like it makes the bowl even more beautiful than it ever was without the breaks. And I just love that. And I feel like that. I feel like as I'm healing, that I become more beautiful, just like this art form. And so that's what I want to do. So I'll read comments later. I appreciate you watching me and considering domestic violence awareness as well as breast cancer awareness this month. I got my lavender nails on. That is the color. So the little ribbon is actually lavender instead of pink for domestic violence awareness. If I get a response, I may come on with a couple other things, and let's have some beautiful broken badasses.